Hello, good evening, and welcome to the second off-track semi-final special. Following on from the first semi last weekend, this Saturday at Skegness, another 24 drivers will race to claim a position on the World Final grid at Bradford in September. We've got the first three rows together tonight to have a chat about this crucial race. Starting inside pole is number one, Tom Harris. Evening, Tom.
Hi, guys.
You're the only one in the workshop. Is that so that you're showing you're so busy at the moment?
No, I'm putting it on. I just rolled around in some dirt to make it look like I do something.
Good. I like it. Perfect. It's good scene setting. Tom, sorry for the, I guess, the obvious first question. It was probably the biggest surprise of the stock car season that you chose the tarmac semi-final. We discussed it last week on the semi-final one call, and nobody seemed to know why. So I guess the best person to ask is yourself.
Well, the whole idea was obviously to take my new show car to Kings Lynn. It's probably one of the best show tracks, if not the best show track we have. So I wanted to give it a run there to see what it was like. But unfortunately, run out of time and it just didn't happen. So luckily, Will Hunter gave me his car and his bus. And
you haven't been, so you mentioned you haven't been happy with your tarmac form of late. How will that change on Saturday?
Would you be happy with my tarmac form?
See, do you know when I was writing these questions, I knew you'd answer in that way, and I can't. No, it's not been great, I suppose. So how are you going to change it Saturday?
Finishing would be a start.
Yep.
As long as I finish, I'm happy. If I don't finish, I'm in anyway, aren't I? And yeah, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And if I don't finish through mechanical, that's my own fault. And if I don't finish through someone drilling me in the wall, then they better tighten the seatbelts.
I like it. Good answer. I like it. Ryan's smiling. So the final question before I move on. Choosing the skate semi-final, obviously put Catherine and Luke both on shale. Who was the first to text you and go, really?
Well, they both need the practice. That was obviously part of the idea as well, because if it had been a tarmac world final, it would 100% have gone to Skegness, and I would have had the shale semi. But wanting to use my new car, and then them to, having a good semi-final at Skeg, and then starting up the front at Bradford with limited shale experience is, not really ideal, especially with the condition the track's been in at Bradford. So that was kind of, the idea behind it was basically to get my new shale car out there. And, if Catherine and Luke were good enough on the day to qualify, then, so be it. So, but yeah, that was the whole idea behind it.
And it worked well in some respects because Catherine obviously did qualify, so it was a good idea.
Yeah, it was like I say, it was mainly to get my new car out there, and like I say, I wanted to take it to Kingston first before I wrecked it somewhere else. But yeah, it just wasn't to be. Unfortunately, we put a lot of hours in, and we had to settle down, and it just wasn't to be. It got to the point we spent so much time on it. I've probably been building it for 3 years now, and to rush the last bit, it's just not worth it. So we'll have to wait for another day.
Cheers, Tom. Thank you for that. Lovely. Brilliant. Alongside you on the grid is 217 Lee Fairhurst. Lee, are you happy with the Skegness semi-final? Because I guess tarmac this year has just been full of bad luck for you, it seems.
Yeah, I didn't mind either way, to be honest. Shale form's been all right, so just had a bit of bad luck with tarmac engine and gremlins, but hopefully we got to the bottom of that now and good to go, yeah.
So I mentioned to Matt last week, the front outside row always seems a really precarious place to start on a race like this, and even more so on tarmac where you're stuck on the outside and you need to get on the inside. You can lose a load of places quite early on. Does that concern you?
Not really. I've started there before in big races and semis and world finals, so it's not really an issue. But yeah, we'll just try and get around the first few laps and see where we are after the first few bends.
Okay. And you didn't race last weekend, but you had a new job as a water boy for Louis Goodwin. How did you get on with that?
High quality H2O.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, really. I think I've ever been water boy for anyone. I've always been driving, so yeah, just helped Lewis, and he's coming along good. So yeah.
Brilliant. Cheers, Lee. Thank you for that. Inside row 2 is 259 Paul Hines. Evening, Paul.
How you doing? It's a good job I laughed then, Lee, because no one else did, mate. So I'm with you.
I think I got paused.
I did. I'm conscious of time. Ryan's getting twitchy. Paul, you starting inside the second row. It's usually the favoured starting position. You've kind of put a new front bumper on for this weekend. I've seen that on social media. Are you going to go all Kev Smith on it?
People kept backing into me, so I thought I'd put a new one on. At Buxton, last time out, it rained so hard in the race we were in, and I still don't know who it was now, but someone stopped because they couldn't see where they were going. And I just hit them full speed down the straight. I'm still got a massive lump in my ribs now for that, so it needs a new bumper, to be fair. So I've had that since it was built, I think, so quite fond of that bumper. So shame to change it, but such is life.
So you are on that second row, and like I say, it's normally the favoured starting position. But at Skegness, you're very much the fill-in in a Tom Ryan sandwich. Are you comfortable with your place on the grid?
I don't fancy a threesome of them two, to be fair. I don't want to be in between that sandwich. I've got to be honest. I'm not sure I prefer behind me, if I'm truthful. But are we talking about racing? Is that what we're on about?
We are talking about
Oh,
yeah,
on the track. Oh, on the track. Yeah, no, well, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. I've done a few semi-finals now, so a bit lightly, really. We've got to try and get around the first few bends, see where we are at the end of it. Probably got a bit of pace in there to get a decent result if we can, but we'll see how we go.
And you always want to enjoy a parade lap. We haven't done those for quite a long time. Have you been doing any practicing sort of this weekend in the garden, sort of waving and stuff like that?
I've been, what I'll try and do tomorrow is have a run around the garden, hands up, you know what I mean? Wave at the neighbours. They don't know what I'm doing, obviously, but I'm in it for the parade. Once the parade's done, that's it for me. It's the rest of it secondary. So if I can get a good parade lap, get a few cheers, maybe even one or two boos, try and stir some people up, then we'll have had a good day.
Cheers, Paul. Thank you very much. So also on the second row is 445 Nigel Green. Evening, Nigel.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good, thank you. Nigel, every time my stepson comes back from racing his go-kart, he's like, I've seen Nigel Green, I've seen Nigel Green. And your son's racing has very much been a big part of the year.
Yeah, basically, he's getting quite competitive and getting older and enjoying more now, going racing with the go-karting. And as you see him developing, you get more enjoyment out of it. So, yeah, the more of my priority to take in racing and race myself.
Okay, lovely. And you scored really well at the back end of 2019 in the World Qualifiers. Were you surprised to be so high up the grid at Skegness, bearing in mind you've not really done anything this year?
Yeah, I didn't expect to so that's probably one of the reasons I'll turn up, really, because I didn't expect to be that far up the grid. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. You're not actually starting that far. It's only been used since November 19, so I literally got it off the shelf today and it's covered in dust and rust. So it'll be interesting to see actually how it performs after a year or so parked up.
Yeah, so that was my question, because I've seen you post on social media a picture of your car on top of some kind of storage in your garage. Is it down and is it all ready to go, or is there still a bit of work to do on it?
It's far from that. It's down, but it's not ready to go. Now, it's covered in rust still, to be honest. Once we start it, we'll even put the ignition lights on. So put the battery on charge and we'll see if it starts sometime tomorrow night and take it from there, really. So, no, it's definitely not ready to go as yet.
You've got 2 more days, 3 more days? Yeah.
I've got one.
You've got a couple more days, yeah? I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, well, to be fair, the way Bradford is at the moment, I don't think you really need to be anywhere. You can start anywhere on the grid and do okay there, because it's going to be the carnage, I think, which is not necessarily a moan or a bad thing. It's going to be a busy first few laps there with the full grid of cars, everyone eager on a one-off race. Everyone's going to want to win it on the first lap. So just circling after the first few laps within the top 15, and you'll have a good chance of winning there. Fortunately, at the start of this year, I raced there and did okay. Pace was okay. There's no lap times. But so we'll see if I make it to the final what pace we did have.
Cheers, Nigel. Thank you for that. So moving on to the third row, it's 197 Ryan Harrison. Evening, Ryan.
Hello.
Last week, you were doing a load of testing at Kings Lynn. Did someone tell you the wrong semi-final?
No.
good answer. Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, so looking at Skegness then, so we know we're at Skegness. You must be confident of finishing well. You won the British title there a couple of months ago.
I'm always confident.
Okay. You can say more than 4 words in the answer. You can.
You couldn't shut him up before, and now listen to it.
To be fair, I mean, I'm pretty confident. We're doing our homework. We're spending our time on the cars, and we've got some good sponsors behind us, and we're pushing at the job, and we're pretty quick. We was there today testing, no secrets. Not testing for speed. We know we've got the speed, but just getting the tyres and the brakes and everything where we want it. And we're going to be there to do a job, and that's the win.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Understandably, attention is already on the Shell World Final. You and Tom are arguably the quickest on Shell this year, and potentially is your biggest threat to safety goal. Deal with that threat at the semi-final stage.
Tom who?
Tom Harris.
Oh.
World champion. He's the one on your screen. So
Yeah.
Waving
Tom Harris.
Yeah.
I could be rude and say, "Who's Alice?"
Last but not least, and starting alongside Ryan on row 3 is 5-5. So in terms of the semi-final, Ryan, in terms of your sort of Tom being the threat, what's your thoughts?
Let him have it.
Good.
If he's on, it's on.
But you've got Paul Hines in front of you.
Paul who?
Paul Hines. He's the other one on the screen.
Yeah, I've been testing with him today, to be fair. I've been helping him and telling him that his back shockers are no good because he doesn't really know what he's doing. And, so we're trying to make him a little bit faster, but he's only going to go faster into turn 1. And then I told him to check his menu. And, cheeseburger, no onions, no cheese,
Don't
no
like
chips.
cheese, meat, bread. That's it.
So he's done, and his night's done. So why he tested today, I don't really know.
He told me I've got to go.
Cheers,
He told me
Ryan.
I've got to go and pay the bill for you.
He only went to pay my bill, so that's fine. Happy days.
Cheers, Ryan.
That's a good
Thank
customer.
You. Yeah, absolutely. You concerned at all, Tom? Are you all right listening to that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Tom who?
I'm quite enjoying going to Fantasy Island anyway. I love it there.
Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere.
I won't.
Good. Bye, Frankie Wayman Jr. Evening, Frankie. All right. Sorry, Junior. Sorry. Apologies.
Junior. Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Frankie, you've not had a dedicated tarmac car this year to date. Have you chosen which car you're going to be using at the weekend yet? You walked around the farm and found one?
Yeah, well, using the hire car that I used last Skegness, it was actually going really well towards the end of the weekend. I got it somewhere where I like it to be, and we haven't touched it since, so it's ready to go straight back out.
Frankie, you've raced 4 semi-finals with a 50% success rate. How do you feel about Skegness?
Yeah, I feel all right. I mean, it's just a one-off race, isn't it? So you look at the people in the top 3 rows, and they're all getting on a bit now, apart from me. So I might have a bit of youth on my side and get a few of them in, try to get to the front.
So that was my next question, actually. So there is a load of experience starting around you and in front of you. Have you got a minimum expectation of where you want to finish in the race?
I want to win it. I mean, it's stock car racing. Anything can happen. You got a front bumper, so why not? I want to win the race.
Good. That's good. I like that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those one-on-one questions. Just move on to some group questions. This time last week at this point, we spoke about Love Island and we discussed that at length. Anybody want to say or talk about Love Island before we move on? No.
Do we look like I have time to watch Love Island?
Yeah, hey, I'd say, whatever's wrong with you?
I'm not going to get a bird off Love Island with hands like this, am I?
I don't know. They might go for that, Tom. They might go for that. You never know. But I like it. You've shown us twice your dirty hands now on this interview. It's good.
I've been rolling around on the floor and rubbing my hands in oil and grease.
Is Papa trying to make out he's busy, but he ain't
I know.
doing nothing. He ain't doing nothing. He's just rubbing
Not
his
the
hand
last hour.
around and I'm busy. I'm this. I'm that.
I've even got
I'm number
Luke here doing
one.
a bit.
I'm Tom Harris. I'm number one, and all this. And come on,
Right.
Jamie. Come on, mop him down, Jamie Davidson. Come on, mop him down.
Still on the clock, mate.
I
Right.
bet you are as well. I bet you are. I'm sat here in the Caribbean. Look, Caribbean, nothing.
Eating cooking apples. Right, group question.
Eating cooking apples because I'm skinned.
Right. So semi-finals tend to go one of two ways. You either get that first big push on the first bend, or the race settles down quite quickly, not much place change. How do you see the Skegness semi-final going?
Well, from listening to Ryan, we're all going to Fancy Island. So let's just hope it's a good race for the fans.
Well, I didn't see last week's race, but every other semi-final I've been involved in or watched has been quite tame, so I don't expect too many fireworks. But the way Ryan's talking, there might be, but that would be nice. So whatever, really. But I'm just planning on just driving my way to the front and see how we go. But I'll just pass people with respect, and if I don't get any back, then maybe I'll get some enthusiasm to come back another weekend and sort the job out. But I'm just going to drive past people and see where I finish.
Cheers, Nigel. Thank you. Lee, do you have a view on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the first few laps should probably be lively. After that, might be a bit of procession, but yeah, I'll just try and just set off and try and survive, and then see how we're getting on. But I think, like everyone else, I want to be in the world final. I want to race against the best drivers in the sport in the world final. I want to beat them on that day, so it'll be it, whatever happens.
Lovely, thank you.
So I've done one or two semi-finals now in the past, so we'll get.
I've been with him all day. I've been with him all day. Come on.
If me and Tom do go up the wall, then it'll be good for the fans, won't it? So I don't mind crashing as long as plenty of people there to watch it. So
Up the wall, you'll be going up his bum hole.
Right, obviously, we've only spoken to you guys, but looking a bit further down the grid, is there anyone who you think could do really well in the race?
John Lund, hopefully.
Yes, good answer, Paul Hines. Good answer.
Wouldn't it be great to see him in a world final around Bradford? And one thing about it, it's stock car racing. Last weekend, I don't think there'd been many people that predicted that 515 and 16 wouldn't be in the top three. And obviously that's what happened. So, for all our talking, it's a stock car race and anything can happen. I think Chris Cowley will come through pretty well. Mick Saunders obviously there and thereabouts. So Ashley England at the back's pretty quick. And there's plenty of drivers in that grid that can spring a surprise on the day. So as long as it's a good race for the fans, that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Mick Saunders. Obviously, he came back out at Kings Lynn last weekend. Had a great race with you, Tom, in the heat. Good to have him in the race, I suppose, this weekend.
Yeah, it'd be good to have him back. We need to have all the top drivers of the sport back out. We need to carry on with the top drivers of the sport, and that's what makes the racing good for the fans. And without the fans, then we're just going around in circles, nobody watching us. It's pretty pointless, really. So it's nice now the pits are open again, so the fans and the kids and stuff can come around, have pictures and shirts and stuff, and get the sport back to how it used to be. And like I say, let's just hope it's a good race for the fans on Saturday.
Thank you. Paul, you mentioned about the Kings Lynn semi-final. Most of you watched that on Saturday, or you were there. It didn't kind of pan out as it was expected. Was that a surprise for you? Frankie, what do you think? You obviously there. Was it a surprise how the race turned out?
I mean, I was just watching Phoebe. Really, I didn't see much of anything else. I was just watching her going around, and I thought it was a pretty good semi. I mean, usually you have a lot of cars get lapped because of how many cars there are on track and how many laps it is. So it is hard to try and follow it and try remember who's gone out and who hasn't. But yeah, I think it was a brilliant race, and just congrats to Phoebe and Catherine for getting through more than anything. I think it's brilliant to have both of them through in one race. Yeah,
it's a real selling point for the sport as well, isn't it? Promoting the world final, right? We've got two females on the grid already, so it's fantastic. One of the key differences to Kings Lynn is that there are a number of Shell drivers racing on Saturday at Skegness. Do you think that will have an impact on the race itself?
Could do if it rains. If it rains and you can't beat a Shell car on tarmac. But yeah, also it's when you get into lap traffic, isn't it? If someone in a Shell car that's not handling very good, when you come to the lap, it could be quite, tricky to pass them, especially if you're in a race at the front as well. If you're battling with somebody else and you come to a bunch of backmarkers that are a bit out of control, that can be a bit of a hindrance. So, yeah, I'm sure it'll be a good race.
Lovely. Nigel, you mentioned sort of passing people cleanly. You talking about shell drivers on track. Is that any difference for you when you're racing against them?
Not necessarily. No, you need to sort of you try and read the driver's race in front of you as you're behind them. Really. You sort of try and think where they're going to be when you get to them and tee them up and do whatever you need to do. So obviously, if they're out of control, then it might be hard work. But as a rule, no, whether in a shell car or a tarmac car, you can sort of see where you're going to overtake them. But like Tom said, if it rains, it could all sort of turn on its head really, and they could be really competitive. And those people, tarmac cars, not so.
Because looking ahead to the weekend, looking at the weather forecast, it does look like there could potentially be rain, which could then throw a whole different complexion on the race itself. So it could be quite interesting. My sort of final bit is around looking ahead to the Bradford World Final. The view last week was that if you want to win the gold, you need to be on those first 3 rows. Nigel's already said he doesn't agree with that. What do the rest of you believe around where you need to start at Bradford to be with a real chance of winning the gold ring?
It depends if we're getting Dutch drivers over, doesn't it? So where in the past, the first 2 rows were always crucial because obviously, no respect to Dutch drivers, are quicker than me, if that makes sense. But you feel like you want to be in them first 2 bits. Never did me any good so far, but nonetheless, that's where you want to be. But this year, that might not be the case. So it might be a real quality, all the top drivers in there together, first 4 or 5 rows. And like Nigel says, first bend at Bradford is going to be an unknown anyway. He's changing the track a bit again. So I think if you're in the top 5 rows, you're in with a chance. Don't get me wrong, you've got more chance pole, but you'll be in with a chance in the first 5 rows, I think. And if it's raining or if it's a bit moist on the day, you could be anywhere. Lee Ferris proved it, didn't he? From the back. If there's anywhere where that could happen, I think that Bradford, there'll be yellow flags. There'll be loads of yellow flags. If there's a place where someone can come from further back, Bradford will be the place.
Okay. Lee, do you agree with that, with what Paul's saying?
Yeah, I think talk about top 2 or 3, that's where you want to be, obviously. But if you talk about it too much at the end of the day, before you know it, you could be out of the semi-final with a puncher or whatever. So I think just to get in it and be on the grid, and that's where we start off. And we want to be as high up as we can, obviously. But if we're not, we're not, and we just want to be in it and doing the parade laps and go for it from there.
Lovely, thank you. And my final thing that I just want to make sure you all know, Paul Hans has already mentioned it, but you all do know that John runs racing this weekend in the final. I want to check, you all know that. So it'd be great if he qualified for the Bradford World Final, wouldn't it? I mean, just from a crowd.
I agree. I think it would be brilliant if Lundy were going round. I mean, Paul, as a kid, will remember Lundy going round back at Odsall. Yeah, and
before you were born.
Before I was born.
I remember in my 20s and my 30s going around. Yeah, that's it. Bloody kids, pesky kids.
I think there'd be a lot of cheers if he did qualify.
Thank you. Right, guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking about the semi-final this Saturday at Skegness. Before we go, I just want to mention a guy called Duncan Woodhead, and he's an 11-year-old son who are currently walking from Kingsland last weekend to Skegness this weekend to raise money for the BSCDA Trust Funds. It's a great effort that he's putting in, and if you want to donate or kind of check in on how he's doing, there's a GoFundMe page, and that's available on the BSCDA social media. But I'm sure you all agree Trust Fund's really important of him to kind of take time out of his holiday entitlement to go and do that. It's a really great thing for him to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, well done.
Cheers, thank you. Right, guys, thank you so much again. Good luck on Saturday, and I'll see you there. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Look.
Graphic.
You fell
Good.
over?
Hello, look at this.
Yeah. Bye, Ryan.
What are you eating?
Cooking apple.
Are you showing how hard
You're going to see my new car.
Do we get a sneak
You're gonna see
preview?
my car for coming here. Look. Seen it?
Oh, good.
Hey, what about this one?
Yeah, Tom.
That's mine.
Looks like a garden shed.
No, it's a bench. It's a bench, look. Bench.
How was your cooking apple, Ryan? Are you going to eat another one in a minute as well?
Mm.
Right,
I wouldn't
who we wait-
advise that.
I love everyone's sat at home and I'm still out at work.
It's all about the appearance, Tom.
Even
You're doing well.
Frankie's at home and he lives there.
Works there.
I'm going
Look.
back afterwards.
Yeah, all right. You've had a wash. Look, you got clean clothes and you're not going back.
I thought people were going to make an effort, but looking at Heinzie, they're just coming in their scruffs.
Oh,
Open them big ears. Open them big ears.
Get a bit closer to the screen, Tom. That's it.
And let me turn the radio down.
Oh, Tom's gone.
yeah, turn the radio down. That might help.
Get some earphones as well. They'll go coming straight in your ears.
Charlie effort.
That pizza cake. I like it. Good for
There you
cake.
go. There you go.
I'm back.
So can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah.
Good. Well, you sound very thrilled. Good.
Very
Right.
excited. My tea's just got here now, so I'm fuming.
You are. You fume. Why?
Tea's just got here.
What?
What are you having?
Hey,
Oh, food.
Pizza.
Okay. Well, 20 minutes.
Yum,
Put
yum.
some tin foil over it, and you'll be ready. You'll be all right.
Oh, look at him. He's got a burger on his chops. He's like Stuart Smith.
Well, Cecil, get Cecil on, Tom.
Yeah, this is where my tarmac car's going if it's this Saturday.
Right in the crusher. Come on. There she be. Might as well
Wait
book-
a minute.
hey, you might as well book it spot.
Hi.
Paying top price for scrap at the minute.
There she be. 175 quid across the bridge. She'll be good there.
On the alley engine.
Might even chuck Cecil in with it.
We can have him.
I ain't got all night. I'm starving. I ain't got this
So am I.
figure for nothing.
Get some more apples in you, Ryan.
Yeah, look.
He's wasting away, Paul. That.
I'll do it, boy. Look. Living in the old trailer here, look.
It's very
That's
nice.
mine. Me gaff. And the workshop is there.
Is
Happy
it
days.
Tell you what, I wouldn't mind being a pound behind you.
I'm feeling pretty flush at the moment. I'll tell you what, though. These cooking apples are rough.
Do you know why they're called cooking apples?
Eh?
Do you know why they're called cooking apples?
What's that for?
Because you're supposed to cook them before you eat them.
I never knew that.
I'm the gift that keeps on giving. That's why
It's fun and knowledge.
I never really studied at school, to be fair.
No, but it's not.
The clues.
Eh?
The clues in the title.
I did.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Hurry up, I've got to water my trees. Seriously.
What are you growing on your trees? Cooking apples.
Jordan,
Cooking apple.
Jordan, your old man spent 2 hours cutting my trees, so I've got to water them. He's told me as and when I've got to do it, and he's told me if it gets to 9 o'clock, after 9 o'clock, I'll forget it. So you got 10 minutes and I'm off, because your old man's the boss. But hang on a minute, I'm having a piss, but I'll do it anyway.
Oh, you're not. I want to look away. I turned away then, Ryan. Genuinely turned away.
Don't make eye contact with him. Don't make eye contact.
Stop swearing, Ryan. Just moderate. Right. Next
Hey,
question.
the more I swear, the more you can't use it.
Yeah, no. Jordan's having a fit, thinking he has a really easy night.